just going to hit. We don't miss it. Hey, how is everybody? Hello from Bangkok.
Yeah.
Hello.
How's it going?
Really well, thank you. Yeah, my dad's on very good form, so I'm feeling incredibly lucky. So that's great news.
What time is it with you? Like 2:30 or something?
It's 6:30
AM.
No, and
PM.
Oh,
7
PM.
hours ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
Oh,
I turn
okay.
off this light, it's suddenly, oh, actually, that's not bad. Maybe that's better. Which is better? I look a
That
bit
one.
spotted. Whoa. Hey guys, listen, sorry for taking a bit long getting us in today. Just would welcome, anyone who has a burning desire to go first. I know it's always a bit of a, should I, shouldn't I? But, any reflections are welcome, any stuckness. I know Jen came to tapping this morning and we shared, this feeling of a bit of overwhelm right now. I'm coaching a lot of people who are feeling really burnt out, actually, just exhausted. It's been relentless. But yeah, whatever's going on for you is very welcome in the space. So with that in mind, would anybody like to hop in and kick us off?
I loved your little post on Facebook, and I guess that was because of your discussion with Jen earlier, but I was like, oh my God, yes, that's me. So I'm now I know I'm in happy or unhappy company. Yeah, I was definitely like yesterday and today for sure. I was like, okay, my cup is so not full. My cup is nowhere near anything. I've got nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what would be helpful? Are you, because I'm hearing you're able to identify my cup is empty, but
yes, I mean, I have to say that some of my behaviors have not been super pretty over the past 24 hours, but yeah, for sure. I mean, it was directly related to that. And I recognize that feeling because I've gone through periods of burnout before. And so I had this moment of like, oh wait, no, that's not good, So actually my plan is after this call, I'm going to take a nap. That's my plan. There's nobody in my house today. I'm working at home. I don't work on Friday afternoons, so I don't have any work obligations. And I just said, okay, I have this huge long list of stuff to do. I mean, really grim. I have to work over the weekend because I have stuff due for work on Monday unexpectedly. But I said, okay, before I tackle any of that, I just need to have a break. And hopefully that will help me.
absolutely.
But there's still the big pile in front of me for sure. So
yeah,
that's my plan.
Yeah, the recognition just to take a break. And I think we often think that just keeping the foot on the accelerator will get us through, but the truth is parking the car and going for a walk or taking a nap is a far safer and more effective option.
Yeah, I actually went out a little while ago, about an hour and a half ago, since there's nobody here today, I decided to pop out and get a lunch and bring it back. And so I didn't have to fix my lunch for myself and eat it by myself. I just went out, and it's a really sunny day today here in the south of France. And so I drove down to our village and I went to this little salad bar place and I got my salad and I walked back to the car. And just being outside, like in the fresh air and in the sunlight, I already felt a tiny bit better. And I went, oh yeah, I need to do that also this weekend. Yeah.
Great.
So,
and I'm going to confess, I did take a nap this afternoon. I had to take a nap before tapping because I just had about 4 hours sleep last night. So I was just like, I can't do this. But I have to say, I don't know about you, Jen, but after tapping, I definitely it was really energizing actually. So if you want a little energy booster, just a 10-minute session after your nap, I recommend that.
Okay.
Thank you. And how is everything else going for you? How have you got on with the inner critic and the inner coach?
So, okay, I just printed out the check. I know you can't see it. It's the checklist for week 4. So I really appreciate that you do that because it's really helpful to kind of keep me on focused, I guess. I was going to say on track, but that's not exactly the right word. And last week I made myself a little binder. So I print some stuff out so I can kind of keep, because there's so much that we're covering. I was realizing it. Like I sort of feel like on some things we're just kind of scratching the surface. And I know it's kind of iterative, but then I think that, I'm losing track of that. Like, what are my strengths again? Who am I? What are my values? Oh, we did that 2 weeks ago. I've already forgotten, So now I have a little binder to help me stay on track. But it's true that I've just been reflecting mostly this week. I feel that I need to have some quiet time with some of these ideas and these concepts. But the meditation on Monday was really helpful. And although this this week I've been like, I try to recall that, the image, and my super self, my better self, I see her, but she seems very far away. It's like, but I know she's there, and that already is kind of reassuring to me.
Yeah.
So that concept has been really helpful a lot, actually, to kind of have something to hang on to. And I know there's this kind of one of the tasks is on here is find a metaphor, image to link yourself to that. And I haven't really done that, but just having that, gone through that meditation and having that visualization, I have that for the moment, and that's been helpful.
Yeah,
So
and hearing there's something just there, she seems really far away, but she's there.
She does.
And actually she is you, right? She
Yeah.
is you. All we want to do is remove some of the blocks, the stuff between you and her. I'm curious, what's one quality that you really noticed about her that might help you now?
I think that she is someone who's calm and seems unhurried and unworried.
Yeah, calm, unhurried, unworried. She's
That's
a woman
it.
who'd take a nap because that's what she needs.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Thanks.
And maybe just, lean into that idea of calm and unworried. And does anything come up for you in terms of what that looks like or feels like?
I know what it feels like. This is why I think that she feels far away, is because I've struggled this week with this kind of feeling overloaded. So it's been difficult for me to get to that. But I do notice, now that I'm in this kind of, and sort of taking things on all fronts, so that's the kind of situation where it's a kind of perfect storm for kind of being overwhelmed, where it's like, it's busy with my children, it's busy with my work, it's busy with coaching, it's busy with figuring out what I'm going to do with myself, it's busy in my getting ready for Christmas, it was Thanksgiving yesterday. And so there's just like all these lots of different things. So it's not one thing. And that's like the worst combination, right? It's the combination of things that is, it can impact me anyway. Yeah. Yeah. So but it's been good because, it's not great, but what is positive is that I've been able to recognize myself more and earlier than maybe in the past.
Yeah. And that's really powerful. And you should really celebrate that, because I think we're so busy going, but she's over there and I'm here. And, actually, progress. You've actually made progress on not being that version of you who maybe whatever would have happened sooner. You're going, oh, I recognize this now. If I can offer something that came up for me as you were talking, I got this idea of the two of you, and the thing that connects you potentially that could be helpful is breath. And when the world is overwhelming, the thing that can really just ground us and calm us and actually take cortisol out of our bloodstream is that slow 4 count in, 4 count out breath. So maybe that's an offering for you, just when we're in this perfect storm.
Yeah, I have to, also, last night I had this little family meltdown, and I totally lost it also. So it wasn't just the others. Usually I'm the mitigator, and I always feel really bad about that, and so it takes time to kind of get past that. Like, oh, I made this mistake, my kids are ruined forever. I don't really say that to myself exactly, but it's kind of behind, how do I fix it?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. No, but were you going to say something else?
Yeah, I was going to just say that in all of this work that we've been doing, I've been trying to anticipate and reflect more quickly in how I communicate and how I'm feeling. And I told my son was really bugging me about something last night. Will you please do this for me? Will you please? And I said, you know what? I've had a really busy day. I'm really tired. I was making dinner and I said, I really just need to sit down and eat, and I'll talk to you about this later. And what actually made me snap is that he wouldn't let it go. He like kept bugging me. And I'm like, oh, I can't take it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I knew, and I told him afterwards, I said, I know I have my limits, like everybody. I mean, you have to respect my limit, and I think he got the message. We'll see next time if he did or didn't.
Yeah, so that's so interesting, right? You handled it sounds like, in a very calm and kind way, and just said,
Yeah.
hey, just like that. And then you got, kids and parents, they have the special buttons that they push,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering if, hearing back what I heard, which was, you articulated your needs, they weren't respected, and you're in this thing, and so you had your meltdown in your words, and then you then went to him afterwards and said, please understand, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, because you're left with this lingering sense of, I don't know, what would you put to that feeling?
Disappointment.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet, in the moment, and I'm wondering if you could have done anything else, or what would you do differently next time?
I'm thinking. I probably would have had to, I think that I would have had to, if I could come to it more quick, like if I realized more quickly, then I would try to exit myself for a few minutes.
As in leave?
Yeah,
Just
like physically remove myself.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Would
just
you let them know that they've gone too far, and you're going, actually?
Yes, I totally would. Yeah,
take 5 now,
absolutely.
because you're pushing my button. I don't want to say something I'll regret.
Exactly. Yes.
I don't know if that's passive aggressive, actually. So I don't know. It wouldn't take my words, but.
Could I offer something, Karen, that I do with my kids? They're a bit younger, I think, than yours, so I don't know whether it would work. But there's something I read that said that basically you say, you've asked me and I've answered. That's what you say.
And just stop.
So you explain it the first time. You've asked me, I can't have this discussion now, but we will come back to it, and I've answered you. And then if they keep doing it, you just say, asked and answered.
Asked and answered.
And you do
That's
it.
I'll try it. I'll try it, Rowena.
And I've tried it a couple of times with my two, and it does work.
Yeah.
Because there's just no comeback on it.
Stop. It sounds.
They stop.
And it makes you feel better, because you're not justifying yourself. You're just like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'll give it a go. That's a really great idea. Thank you. I know that's not work related, but it's behavioral related, so and all this stuff is.
And especially at this time of year, because, I feel like, it's suddenly like, it's December next week. Sorry, not trying to push
no, that's okay.
anyone else, but the only thing I wanted to offer you at this moment was hearing that, what I heard was you explaining your needs and then not being respected, and that's normal in families. But I was wondering if you could bring some compassion to yourself, because I hear you saying you're disappointed, which sets, perhaps you had an expectation of yourself and then you didn't meet it, or something happened. But do you know what? In the moment, and with everything going on. Yeah. And if we look at the emotions dashboard, we have the red and we have the green, right? So we're feeling disappointed, we're feeling whatever we're feeling. And one of the ways we can get back to green is, compassion or curiosity, or, so just offering that as well.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you for bringing that.
Welcome.
So opening the space, anyone else would like to jump in? any topic's welcome. And everyone's thoughts are welcome.
Yeah.
Go on, Alessandra.
Can bring in another topic, well, similar. Well, you started saying everybody feels overwhelmed. For me, is feeling overwhelmed, but more with emotions rather than things to do. I've had a very busy week. I'm in the office today. You see, I'm in this telephone box. It's really weird. But yes, busy, but I can manage. While emotionally, there is a lot going on. You probably saw on Monday, I was a little bit quiet, or with thoughts. And that's why also I think that exercise didn't really work for me on Monday. But what I can say is that in all these emotions, there was a lot about lack of confidence that I'm feeling, I'm seeing also in presentations where I'm in Zoom. I just get distracted also. My communication is not as effective as it used to be. So I see the theme of confidence affecting me. But reflecting on it for the week, I've been in the office every day, and that has really helped me. The office environment actually is giving me more confidence, more feeling good factor, let's put it this way. But also, yes, I'm up, then going on the bicycle. So Karen, you mentioned going out. I've been cycling to work just to really get the fresh air in the morning. I've listened to a TED talk yesterday. It was talking about the not to-do list, which I share. It could be something actually interesting for everyone. It's not just about doing a to-do list. It's also sometimes say, do not scroll on social media all the time. Do not watch TV. I'll share it was more about languishing, but there is something to take for everyone. So this is how I'm feeling. So today I feel better. This is a good thing. So I think I'm gonna do that exercise about the best you this weekend, because I'm in a better place to do that.
Wonderful. I will share also the audio as well if you want that. I'll make sure I put that on the group. I forgot. But that's so hearing, that you've had a bit of an emotional, overwhelm in terms of emotion. Being in the office has helped. I'm curious, what do you think it is about being in the office that's helping your confidence?
That it helps to play a role. You're in an office, and also I believe in this separation of office and home. Whenever I'm on a Zoom call, I really feel like people are in my sitting room, or I'm in a small flat, so everybody's invited to my flat. And maybe also the fact that now I'm doing so much work on myself, and also with this coaching program, it's like if they are part of it, so there isn't that separation. So I'm keen to come more to the office to help on that too. It's freeing up space for me to do my work on what's important to me.
Thank you for sharing that. Does that resonate with anyone else in the group? Seeing a few nodding heads.
I have the complete opposite. I love working from home, and I find it stressful to go into the office now because of the juggling and the childcare and the having to be at different places at different time. And so, yeah, I hear what you say about people being kind of in your space and on the Zoom calls and things, but actually on a sort of a day-to-day practicalities perspective, I'm much, and I switch off at whatever time I finish. I can sort of switch off and shut the laptop and that's it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting though, isn't it? And I think what I heard there, Alessandra, as well, was the thing around, boundaries. And if you do have that feeling that they're in your space and there's no respite, that's my word, but you're on the computer sometimes to see friends or to do social networking or whatever it is, and then for work, and you don't leave, so it clearly delineates the different things in our life sometimes, which can help when we're struggling. Yeah. And so you're going to have a go at the powerful self this weekend, is that right?
Yes, I am. I think I'm in a better space mentally to do it. And it's something, yes, I think I also need. I think it's a very powerful exercise to look at. Or even today, I was in this big meeting. I was looking also at other stakeholders for a little moment. I got a little bit lost. It was my inner critic, I think, working and say, oh, look what they've achieved, look where they are. But then I say, well, wait a minute. I only see them now in this context of this big meeting. You don't know more. They don't know about you. So I see a lot of things we're discussing come out. Sometimes like a big wave. And it's just more controlling them and also reflecting on them and surfing them.
Yeah. And can I just say, well done? And I don't mean that to be patronizing, but you had those thoughts, you went, hang on a minute, and then you countered them. And that's you getting your inner critic and going, I don't think so, pal. You don't know what they're thinking. And honestly, that is the work. And the more you strengthen that muscle, that awareness of that, our thoughts will go there. And the clue is, how do I feel? I don't feel very good. What have I been thinking about? That they're more successful than me, that they've done this better, that they're da-da-da-da-da. Oh, okay, let's bring it back. Yeah. And that, honestly, that muscle, that work is the work, because that's how you will change your mind, your mindset.
And I have to say, I make it sound easy, but actually the work has been done after the meeting. So there was this moment in this meeting when I say, oh, look at these people, they've got it all, look what they've done. After the meeting, I reflected a little bit more. So the next step will be to get it right in the moment. So seeing that inner critic really coming through.
Yeah, but I'm hearing actually, perhaps one of the things you could look for or be on watch out for is comparison. Because comparison is a big driver of unhappiness for many people, for most people actually, because we never compare to people who are equal or less than us. We always compare to someone who, we choose specific ones that tend to make us feel bad. And we tend to compare not the same parts of journeys as well. So what I mean by that is we might be at the beginning of a journey, especially in career change, and we'll look at someone who's in the middle or late in their journey and be like, oh, well, I'm not like them. No, because they've been doing that for 8 years, and we're not making a fair comparison. So watch, maybe your inner critic likes comparison, maybe.
That's true.
So that's a good way to kind of scan for that. Yeah. And I'm also wondering, when you're combating this inner critic voice, do you have any other techniques? Because I heard you say your confidence was feeling a bit low. And sometimes when our mind goes to that place, it doesn't feel good. I'm curious if there's any other ways that you have to build up your confidence and to tap into that.
Well, I go into the things I like. That could be just for myself or just activities. Is that glass, the tank of activities as my comfort zone. So, for example, I went to the Ocean Film Festival this week. It was lovely. It was a quiet place where I feel more myself. So yes, I would see hobbies or activities that are not work related.
Yeah, nice. I think that's really powerful. I'm hearing that you take time to fill your cup, and I know Karen was saying the same thing. What I was sort of in the back of my mind was a thought, and I just wanted to offer it if you like, because we can prime our brains for feeling really good and feeling like the most success we can have, or we can somehow undermine ourselves a little bit. There was a study done by Harvard, did I mention this one, about women who were primed to think about the fact they were women and therefore worse at maths than men, and they were given a maths test. And then the same women were primed to think about the fact they were Asian, and Asians tend to be better at maths, and they performed significantly better in the second maths test. The standard of the maths didn't change. It was essentially the same test, but just their mindset, their belief. And so my question would be, what things in your life, looking at you're in this amazing role. I know maybe you don't love it right now, but you got recruited for it, you've been delivering it, I'm sure you've had success in it. Are there any things that you could look at and kind of remind yourself, hey, I'm actually pretty good at this. I may not love it right now, but I'm good at it.
Yeah, it's a good angle. Is that comparison that then comes in. And yes, so the values, yes, or the pressure on progressing.
Right. Yeah. I wonder if you've ever taken some time to really accept and receive your success. And what I mean by that is we tend to skip over things. Like, we get a job, great, I'll do the job. We don't take time to go, wow, I just got that job out of X number of candidates. Well done, me. And really allowing yourself to feel that. You've got a degree, maybe you speak a second language beautifully. All these things are huge. And maybe just giving yourself time to receive your success. Really just allow yourself to feel it.
Yeah, don't do it much. It could be another good exercise for the weekend.
Yeah. And I understand that it's very normal, particularly when we have a perfectionist drive and we want to go further and we're not as good as so-and-so, we go. And yet, you know, I don't want to use a comparison example. You could compare yourself to some people and you are incredibly successful, like really like out of this world successful. Depends who you choose to compare yourself to. You know, so I guess I just wanted to offer that because I can sense there's some resistance, but you know, if you, I would invite you to see this in yourself because it's there. And when you can accept it, it's going to feel easier. It's almost like pushing part of you away, just going, oh, it doesn't matter. It's not important. Actually, that's all of you. Be whole. I don't know if I'm getting too woo-woo.
I see.
How does that sound?
Sounds good. There's something else to do on the reflection of. There are a lot of reflection. It's and that's another angle to take. It's also appreciation, basically. And it's interesting. Appreciation is one of my values. I'm getting there in finalizing them.
Okay.
Yes, it's seeking appreciation, but yes, I tend maybe not to appreciate what I've got.
Yeah, and appreciating yourself. Okay, right.
Got you. Okay.
So well, you know, well done for doing that. And I'm not trying to give you more and more tasks to do, but just the work we're doing now is, as you say, reflective. It's, you know, we're not going into endless lists, but, you know, sitting with it. And yeah, well done. That was very, well done. Okay. Okay, so Morwenna and Jen, do either of you want to hop in? Give us a wave. Go on. Who's got something?
I can go.
Okay.
So I was looking at my inner critic stuff, and my top one is avoider, which I recognize completely. And it's even to the point where I get like simple things. So I want to get some building work done. And there's somebody who is like a project manager that I need to speak to. And I've put off for about 2 weeks calling him. No idea why, just because I don't really know how the conversation's going to go. I just put it off. So that's on my list today to do, but it's stupid things like that. So anyway, that I completely, but the next one is restless. And I really, you know, I feel that is really me, but I don't know how to get around that. So I would like some thoughts and advice on how I can sort of shift from being restless, because I've always been like that. So I have no idea what unrestless or whatever looks like.
Okay, well, so we've got these two, and you recognize both of them, and it's so funny because even as a coach, when you say avoider and you started talking about that, I was just, because it's obviously one of mine as well, I was like, oh, just spotted something I've been doing today, which is I'll just have another cup of tea. Amazing, right? And the restless one, which would you like to tap into? Which is the first one you'd like to?
The restless, because I think avoider for me feels like I know what I need to do, and it's in a lot of cases it's kind of having the confidence to do it, or sort of thinking what actually can go wrong with that. So that I feel like I can get over. I just need to do it. But the restless, I don't have any idea what it is, because, you know, or how to shift it, because I do just jump from one thing to another, but I get bored with things, and that's why I jump from one thing to another. But I don't know how to find the thing that I don't get bored with, or whether there isn't this magic thing and I just have to stick at things a bit more. And if it's like, if something comes, you know, a hurdle comes up, I've actually got to get over it, rather than going, it's boring now, I'm not going to do that.
Okay, well, look, so hearing within that, I guess with the restless thing, I think acknowledging, first of all, that quite often there's other types of and I'm not going to suggest more personality profiles, but some people can have like a spirit energy, which is, and I think a few of us have that energy where we're great at starting new things. I think Jen, you might have been one as well, like, yeah, new stuff, great, start a project, middle and end, ooh, no thank you, you know. And it's okay, that's an energy that you can have and you can bring, and you can be super successful in many roles with that energy. But when we look at it as an inner critic, I wonder if if we dig into it a little bit, what's the payoff, do you think, of having a restless, this inner critic going, don't keep doing this, this is boring now, let's do something different?
Well, I feel like I have unfinished things, and unfinished things don't sit well with me. Like if I start a book, I have to finish it. I can't give up halfway through because I'm not enjoying it. Like I must get through it. And I don't, on some things I think it's okay to decide that you're not enjoying it, or decide that it's not right for you. I don't know why I've got thumbs up. Anyway, I'm not pressing strange things going on. Sorry. Yeah, some things I think it's okay to kind of not finish. But there are projects that just I just lose interest in, and there's no reason for that. Like I've not decided that I shouldn't be going for it, that it's not a good idea, or yeah, and it is that kind of, well, I guess from a sort of, so I want to start my own business, but I have no idea what that looks like, and so it is this jumping from idea to idea to idea, and it's trying to either find something that works for me and I'm good at and that I will stick to, or that I've got to not jump from it and stick with it for a bit longer. And it's getting that balance of if it's the right thing to stick with, or if it's just completely wrong and it's never going to improve.
Yeah, and it's working out what is that pioneer spirit, let's call it, or spirit, or what is the inner critic. And just trying to go back to the inner critic, what might be the purpose of having a restless inner critic? One that's just telling you to move on. Bearing in mind our inner critic's there to keep us safe, right?
I guess to avoid risk.
Okay, and what might the risk be if you persevered at something?
Things might change for the good or the bad.
Okay. Yeah, things might change for the good or the bad. So the good, what would happen if it was good? You start doing something, it goes really well, you keep doing it, it goes really, really well. Maybe you have a huge level of success.
Yeah, which is a bit scary.
Yeah. So I wonder if your inner critic is going, whoa, 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 you know, if you keep pursuing that, stuff might change. I mean, you've identified potentially that success is a bit scary.
So the restless actually and the avoidance are quite closely linked in that sense. I'd got them as pretty separate traits, but actually in that sense, they're quite linked, aren't they?
Sounds like it might be. What's coming up for you as you think that?
I think it is kind of around self-confidence in all manner of ways, because like I say, this example of just phoning up this guy to chat to him about something I want to do. Why am I not doing that? Like, I've got no rational reason for not doing that. It's going to be a 5-minute phone call. And then if you look at that, then the bigger things, you know, there is kind of more of a reason to be unsure about it or a bit scared by it. But it's how to kind of, it's just taking those little steps, but pushing myself to do them. And that's hard.
Yeah, and that's where, you know, when because I actually made a note when you said, you know, avoider, but that's okay, I just have to do it. When we rely on that willpower, how does that go generally?
Yeah, not so well.
Yeah, there's no judgment here as a fellow avoider, you know. And it's a really sneaky inner critic, both of these, because the justification lies is you're bored, you shouldn't do this, move on, there's loads of better stuff you could be doing, this might not be the right thing for you, right? But actually you're protecting yourself somehow, right? And that you've identified maybe it's a confidence thing. And so I was curious if we were to dig into what might be an underlying limiting belief. You know, have you identified some of your underlying limiting beliefs at all?
I can't think. I have done some stuff. I'm not just seeing if I've got anything.
Well, that's okay. I mean, we can just workshop it now if you're comfortable for me to coach you on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, slightly nervous. Yes.
Yes.
Well, look. Yeah, go on.
No, I was going to say I did pull up. I can't find them. So yes, no, that'd be good. Thank you.
Well, because what I'll do is I'll share this template, because I think we covered this in the new empowering beliefs workshop. So I'll just offer this as a framework of what we're doing here, because this is true for all of us, right? Oh gosh, sorry, clicking the wrong things. First of all, we want to raise awareness. So we have this technique of going, we can tune into our bodies. So, you know, you might start to have that feeling of unfinished projects, which doesn't feel good, or forcing yourself to finish reading the book. You know, there's a force, or there's not a lot of flow in it, or there's the feeling of things being unfinished. So we want to raise awareness. And that's why this inner critic tool can be really powerful, because now we're going, okay, well, maybe there is this sneaky inner critic that avoids things. I didn't, you know, that's a really sneaky method, or is restless. So now we've noticed, and try and tune in to know if there's any bodily sensation when you start to perhaps avoid. You know, you've got to make that phone call to the builder. And it might be fleeting, but is there any bodily sensation that, like a tightening of the chest or a flip in the stomach?
Butterflies. Yeah, butterflies in my tummy. Yeah.
Okay, so there's your clue. You've got this body clue. So then the question is, what am I thinking that's causing me to feel this way? Got to call the builder. That's probably not giving you butterflies. So what must I believe is true that's causing me to feel this way? which is
the
this
thing
game.
that comes up initially on that is that I might be wasting his time, that I'm taking asking something of him, and am I not worthy in that sense, but just is it something that's worth his time?
Yeah, is it worth his time? Am I going to waste his time? And what if he says, hey, you're wasting my time?
Okay, bye.
But how does that feel? Sorry to do that to you, but does that like a real sort of?
No, it doesn't, and I guess it's no. If he said that, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's fine, and I'd figure out another way to do it. So it's not his reaction particularly that's the block. I think it's that I sort of try and think things through, and what his reaction is going to be before I've even got on that phone call, maybe. Yeah.
And so you thought it through, and you thought what his reaction might be, and there's something around, am I wasting his time? And if you're, because you're potentially offering him some business. There's something around that. I'm just curious, if we were sort of to peel it back a little bit more, because it will tend to be that there was something about worth that you touched on. You said, oh, I know that it's not worth, but I'm wondering if you were to peel it back another layer around, maybe there's a bigger topic that might bring this up for you as well. Is there anything that comes up around this? What am I telling myself? This would be something that's sort of quite deep. They tend to be the I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, or so they can be a bit heavy.
Yeah, I think I need to give it a bit more thought and what.
And sometimes as kids we're raised to, particularly girls, hurry up, don't be too loud, don't be too boisterous, be nice, and don't. It's almost like a message around don't take up space, because you saying that I don't want to waste his time. The thing that came up for me was taking up space, and allowing yourself to call someone and not rush the phone call, but actually really ask a lot of questions and really probe him. I'm curious, when you get on the phone with him, would you be quick, or how would you handle that?
That just completely. I was like, what? Ask questions? Yeah. Right. Yes.
I'm getting who am I?
Sorry, I was going to say that taking up space sort of resonates actually, because as a kid I was sort of hyperactive and loud and much more a sort of tomboy than a normal girl. And yeah, that kind of taming it, was said on many occasions.
I've got to be honest, I felt a little bit sad for you when I heard that, the little you. And actually sometimes when we realize we hold these deep-seated beliefs, I feel compassion for that little girl who has created a thought around, I mustn't be too loud, I mustn't ask too many questions or take up too much time. So there's something in that might be worth reflecting on, and just bringing some compassion to her. Yeah.
Thank you.
What I'll do is, if you're happy, we'll just quickly go on to the next bit. So, really try and get quite clear on that message, what it might sound like, and then, it might be, I mustn't take too long. I must be quick. I mustn't waste someone's time. Whatever that sentence might be, but go back and challenge it. I'll share this template again. It's in the group actually. And then this is what I was starting to probe a little bit on what does being restless and what does avoiding, what are the benefits, right? So we touched on, you said might be successful. What were some of the others you mentioned?
I think that was the main one that I came up with. I guess as well, it's if you find something that that you might not be as good at what you've found then if you keep jumping. It's something that I did do as a kid as well, that for music, I played a lot of musical instruments and I was sort of naturally good to a certain level. But as soon as I had to work at that, I would lose interest and I would change musical instrument. And it's that putting the work in to get to that next level. I don't know what that block is, but it has been something that, has been sort of throughout.
Yeah, and it might just be worth, so let's say you got through that block and you became super talented as a musician, and there was heaps of praise and maybe performances and a lot of success around it. What's your reaction to that?
I don't like the spotlight, so that piece, but the actual kind of performing piece doesn't scare me, but when it's from a distance, but I guess being recognized by people close by is uncomfortable.
Okay.
In close proximity.
Yeah. So there's something in there about, for me, and I want to offer this to you, but around getting to a level of success and maybe stepping away from that and this block coming up. Because actually, this is when we talk about the push and the pull. The pull is I love performing and I actually really enjoy playing, but there's a point beyond which it takes a toll. There's more work required, and then this is where you say, what's the benefit? The benefit means I don't ever have to be that good. Don't ever have to have lots of people looking at me, or whatever your version might be. Yeah. And then the next phase is to say, what does it cost me to think this way? To be restless, to avoid certain things.
Yeah, I guess just not finding what it is that I want to do, or
not finding what you want to do. And I'm wondering, when it comes to certain projects or things like that, they get avoided. In this one example, I'm not suggesting it's everything, but or in those moments, how many of those moments have you had where we've had the internal dialogue, we've had those feelings? If we added up all that time versus going to make this builder's day, going to give him a great job, he's going to be bloody lucky to have me, right? Okay. Yeah. So I will just take another moment on this, if that's okay, and I'm very happy to stay on a little bit longer for you, Jen, because I don't want you to not get a full amount of time, but hopefully this is helpful for everybody, knowing how this tool works. Okay, so what we want to do from this is, if we find that sentence, let's go back to it actually and just say, what was the wording? We sort of had something around the belief, which is I shouldn't take up space. Something around that, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's work with that one for now. And then, as you reflect, we might find, and you can keep using this. So tell me what the opposite of that would be for you, including the feeling of taking up space. What would be the absolute opposite that would feel a bit uncomfortable to say?
Being seen.
Okay, being seen. So what was the phrase we had to begin with? I shouldn't take up space. So the opposite of that would be, can you sort of put a phrase in it?
Feeling comfortable at being seen.
Okay. Yeah, feeling comfortable at being seen. So there's something around that. So this is the example. So for example, I'm not good enough. So for us, it's I shouldn't take up space. And then the last step is, if I knew that I'm really comfortable with being seen, what would I do differently, or how would I change? So if I'm really comfortable with being seen, taking up space, speaking my truth, whatever the sort of thing that feels deeply uncomfortable and sort of a bit emotional. And I'm curious, does anything open up for you when I ask you that? If I knew that I'm really comfortable with being seen, I should be seen and heard, what would I do differently?
All that's coming up is sort of take action. I don't have that kind of, but take the next step.
Take the next step.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for helping us with that. So to sort of show that through.
Thank you.
Yeah, lean into it a bit more. Keep seeing what might be there, and try and find an empowering assumption that you can use to then unblock that. Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
No worries. Jen.
Hello.
Oh, actually, just an invitation to everybody. Was that helpful to you guys? Just curious. Any thoughts? Yeah, got some nodding heads. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Moana.
I realised I need to go back over that date. Like I said earlier, it's like, and I was just looking back over the notes from I think it was from that workshop, and where you had the thing that's like, my brain has too many tabs open, and it's like, that's what it feels like at the minute, and they're all frozen. So
slowing down. There's all the tabs open, there's music playing, and I don't know where it's coming from.
So it's like, even from this morning, 1 minute it was 8:30, and then I looked at the clock and it's 11 o'clock, and I'm like, what have I just done for the past 2.5 hours or whatever it is? So at the minute it's just a complete block, and I think I'm exactly the same. I like to start projects, I don't like to finish them. I'm much more of an ideas person, and then I'd be like, I've come up with the idea, you do the rest of the work. And that's I think been my go-to. And I think as well, because just realizing when I was younger, I remember I had this amazing idea. I mean, it was phenomenal, and I was going to open a restaurant in our back bedroom. I was about 8 at the time, and I was somehow going to make all this food for people, bring them upstairs, all whilst my parents were in the living room.
I'm sure they were delighted.
Yes. So, and then I kind of got punished for the idea, instead of someone going, oh, okay, well, if that interests you, why don't you come food shopping with me, and you can cook for all of us, but at home, not random people. And then I think it was a few years ago now, but Channel 4 had a program where they had strangers open up restaurants in their living room, like pop-up restaurants. And I watched it and I was like, I had this idea when I was 8. I was just a forward thinker. So I kind of feel like when I've had ideas, they've kind of been squashed. So I've just learned over time, it's like, you can have the idea, but you can't move forward with it, because it's not gonna happen. Someone's gonna tell you, no, you can't do that, regardless of what it is and whether it is actually possible. And obviously now, being an adult, if I wanted to do that, I could. So it was interesting kind of listening to that, because it's that whole restless avoider. And I've realized recently I've gone back into my people pleasing. It's like, okay, if I focus on other people, I don't have to focus on me.
Yeah, that's another tactic of the avoider. It's like, I'll be in service and negate my needs, but then get really resentful.
Yeah, and I think as well, it's almost reinforced. There's been a couple of times this week where I've said something and it's just been completely ignored. You know, the conversation has then gone back to something different. There wasn't even an acknowledgement of what I said. And so it's like, oh, well, if no one's going to listen, I'm just not going to bother. And I think that's very much a learned behavior as well. So
here in that one, the who's going to listen, and also I can have the idea, but they'll, it'll get squashed. There's a similarity there, a sort of, well, there's no, what's the point, is what I'm sort of hearing.
Yeah. And then as well, it then comes up with, well, I can take this idea as so far, but then the whole visibility issue comes up, because it's like, even if it's not my face that's there, it's still my business that I put out there. So then that kicks off a whole, because it's like, oh, this is just too exhausting. I like staying in my own little bubble and it just being me and the dog.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the critic voice keeping you safe, right? Yeah. And then, but within that, and the reason we're probably all here is that we've stayed in our bubble and we've stayed safe, but we're not happy about it, and we want something different, but we're in that dance with the critic. So I'm just conscious that it's 1:30. If anyone does want to go, please, no problems with me. I will happily stay on for another 10 minutes, Jen. So that's all good. Everyone's welcome. But yeah, so you recognize that sort of that dance. Hi, Alessandra.
Yeah, so I think it's it's that typical thing as well. My computer's gone a bit hinky on me. I've had to restart it about 8 times this morning. It's still not working right, which then I'm like, well, if the computer's broken, I can't actually do anything because everything is on my computer. I can't do it from my iPad or my phone. I actually do need to be on a laptop or some computer. So it's like, oh, well, again, that's that whole procrastination kicking. It's like, well, you've tried, it's not worked, so just go and have a break. And then that kind of kicks in. I was thinking that actually everything had gone a bit quiet, but it hasn't. It's just, it's doing it in a whispery voice, not a big, loud.
They're so sneaky, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah. So what if we follow that methodology and we've sort of identified this, or how would you sum up that belief, or what you've been describing?
So the thing that I wrote down is I don't matter. That's kind of the big sum of it, whether it's my voice, my ideas, me, what I offer, it just seems to be that it doesn't matter.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I know it's quite a vulnerable, place. Well, okay. So if we've got that belief, how does it benefit you to maybe hold that belief? What does it allow you to do?
It allows me to stay small, stay in the background, keep quiet, just under the radar, as it were.
Under the radar, keep quiet. Yeah. Okay. And when there's new projects and things,
I don't have to push them forward. I don't, and that comes down to sort of a similar thing. It's that fear of success. It's like, okay, what are the consequences if this becomes successful? Not as in what are the benefits of it, but it's like, okay, what's the negative side if this becomes successful? And am I going to have to do it in a sneaky, not a sneaky way, but I mean in a quiet way where I don't tell like my family or anything, because then that triggers a whole heap of other issues. Yeah.
And if you're, if you have this I don't matter driver or belief, and you achieve all this success, well, what does that do for that belief?
Yeah, it's in complete friction with it.
Yeah. And this is a real identity piece, we can form around that. And so actually we said it keeps you small, you don't pursue certain things, you might be successful, right? So what is the cost of this? What does it cost you, this belief?
My freedom, money, just being content. I'm not even talking about being deliriously happy, just content in what I do. But I do think the main one is probably freedom, and that encompasses kind of emotional, mental, physical, monetary, everything.
Yeah. Okay. And so if we then move that on and we take that sentence structure, which is, we find the opposite of that. So what would be the absolute opposite of I don't matter to you? And it can just be I matter, but quite often it's something more than that that's a bit like, to say.
I just got something coming up about value. And it's like I offer value, my ideas are valuable, I am valuable.
My ideas are valuable, I am valuable.
Yeah, my voice is valuable. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to write that down, or we can get it from the video. But my voice, my ideas, and I am valuable. Yeah. So if we then take that sentence structure and we say, if I knew that my voice, my ideas, and that I am valuable, what would I do differently?
Oh, everything. Yeah, I don't want to say persevere, but that comes up quite a lot with me. It seems to be I flourish more when I have to persevere with something. So it kind of comes to that. I would keep following through on an idea. I know there's this whole thing about sort of fail fast, and it is that fine line. It's figuring out, is this actually not working, or am I just on that hurdle that I need to get over? And it's finding that distinction. And I think, to be fair, I think a lot of mine are just hurdles. I don't think they're things that are going to stop. It's not a bad idea.
Right. Yeah. So if you knew that your voice, your ideas, and that you are valuable, you would do so much. You would pursue. This idea of persist came up.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to flag something that I heard you say, which was, I'm successful when I struggle. Because I would invite you maybe just to sit with that and maybe question that belief. Because if we believe that, right?
Yeah, and it's annoying because I don't want that to be the case. It's like, no, I want things to flow. I want it to be easy, like you've seen other people talk about, and and I think I hear it so much that you're like, hang on, how have they made it? Have they gone through the struggle and it's now easy for them? Or
and I'm not saying that everything is easy and no. It's not. When you start a business, it's blooming hard work, but happiness isn't a life without struggle. It's figuring out what's worth struggling for.
Yeah. And
I think that's it, because I'll be very candid, building up my coaching practice hasn't been easy. I love it. So I will get up each day and I'll keep trying, and because what I get from it is so much.
Yeah, and I think that's the bit I'm missing. It's like, I could, even with this idea, I could still just stay in bed all day. Do you know what I mean? Nothing and I think that's where I go from idea to idea, because it's like after that initial motivation has gone, it's not pushing me enough to kind of go, yeah, keep going with this. This is worth it. This idea is good enough to keep going. And do you know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah, I guess that, and then that's the invitation. It's going, what within that is the restless avoider.
Yeah.
And so this is why we do the work, right? Because if we can start to weaken that voice that's like, oh, it's not working, it's not good enough. Well, I don't even know if I even care that much. Because, you know, I have the same thought a lot of the time. Like I might go and just go, well, you know, I've got this client, but I shouldn't be sharing this. It's not you guys. But, you know, and something, oh, do I really? And without fail, having done it, I will get that same, feeling I get from it. And so it's just, you know, we can bring the doubt in, and we let the doubt stop us, and we get to stay in this situation. But like you say, if you get through the next hurdle and you do it again, and start noticing for the things that light you up. But if you never allow yourself to go there, you're constantly putting the blinkers on, or, you know, you're not getting to experience the whole.
Yeah, and I think it comes back as well to like having done massage for 15 years, and, you know, I adored my clients. I just didn't like the job. You know, if they rang me and said, hey, do you want to go out for a coffee? I'd be like, yeah, I'm there. If you still want to pay me, that's great. But actually doing the job, even though, you know, they said to me frequently how much it helps them, it was like that wasn't enough for me. So I think as well, having kind of struggled with that, well, I've just persevered with it for 15 years, you know, I can just, and I was good at it. That's what it's like. I can't find that. It's like, oh, well, I can just stick with it because I've done it before. And, you know, so it's kind of that I've got to let go of what I have done and know that it can be different.
Actually hearing a bit of, I think Moena said something about allowing things to change, you know, things can be different, letting go. Yeah. Anything coming up for you, Moena, in hearing this?
It's there are so many similarities on it, which but coming from a different angle, but sort of still, yeah, having the same. And I think what you said, Charlie, about allowing yourself to do things so that you take those blinkers off. And I think that's, you know, that's absolutely what I've been doing, that, you know, I sort of go down a path and I can't see what is there sort of more widely. So that will be really, really good for me to sort of look into. Can I just ask your opinions on affirmations, and whether you think that's a good thing to have, sort of to get that sort of mindset change? And so once we've got the kind of belief and flipped it and got the positive, whether sort of just repeating that ad nauseum.
Yeah, and I'd go a step further, and I might invite you to do it in front of a mirror and say it to yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and this, I know this is Jen's, but my voice has value, my ideas have value, I am valuable. And it can be quite challenging for people, but yes, absolutely. And take that question, write it down, and ask yourself, you know, when we're facing a block, what would I do differently if I knew? And it's a very specific language. If I knew this, what would I do differently? That's the present, and that's the past tense. But and so, okay, if I knew that I am offering a huge amount of value and I'm bloody awesome, what would I do differently in this moment? I'd just pick up the phone and say, I've got a great opportunity for you. Come and fix my kitchen, or whatever it is. And yes, absolutely. You know, this, I wonder, and I will have to sign off now, but what we tend to do, and Alessandra said this too, is we calculate every permutation in our head. If I take this or I change this job, this will happen to my salary, this will happen to my life and my kids and my this, and all the tabs are open, the system slows down, we shut down. Actually, and this is what we're doing in this process, it's, well, let's take it a step further. How can I just explore it? I don't know, I'm not psychic, okay, there may be some evidence towards this, but let's go a step further. Let's really see if I enjoy it. You know, and then actually I might have some conversations, and I'll find out this person is an expert in this, they're my best friend, and we can work together on it. But we never allow ourselves to get beyond, we've thought of every possible outcome. And if I may, that's what slows the system down as well. We try and hold it all in our heads. It's exhausting. So I don't know if you guys have heard of this concept of open loops. So calling the builder is an open loop. It's like a task list, something that needs to get done. And one of the simplest things, and you know this already, but just write it all down. Just get everything, just do a brain dump. And then maybe just group some of them. And, you know, just start, just make sure they're off your head. I can say, I've got a very basic Excel template where you can even say, I'm going to deal with this in January. But once you've taken it out of your brain and put it somewhere, that loop's closed. And then you'll revisit it. And it's just, you get a bit more, you know, RAM back, you know, instead of the tab being open. Yeah.
No, that sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, well, listen, take those away, and you know the form is in. I think it was from the week on empowering beliefs, so the rock stars. So if you want to revisit that, it's and you can keep doing it because different beliefs may come up.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Thanks
well,
so much. Sorry to let you go.
That's all right. Take care.
Thanks. See you later. Bye.
Bye.